All right, I think we are live. There you go. This one's a little bit different. So, hello guys, Anmol and Gurdev here from Paris and Baz Real Estate.
Hi guys.
We've just set up our new studio, working from home, given COVID-19 and all of the efficiencies that it's brought up. This is our portable studio that we wanted to communicate with you some of the questions that we are being asked from our clients and the answers that we are providing. Hello to everyone coming on Instagram and on Facebook as well. Do feel free to put any comments through or ask any questions. If we can't answer through to them while we are live, we will come back to you about those afterwards as well. So just a quick sort of recap. I'm sure it's been a while since Paris and Baz Cast has had its last episode. It was back in 2019.
Yeah, the world has certainly changed since then. It's all happening.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the main purpose of Paris and Baz Cast was to educate our viewers about the topics that were impacting property management, sales and finance, the three services that we provide at Paris and Baz. And as you all know, a lot has changed in the last 2 months, specifically for Australia and worldwide. And it is an evolving game still. Lots of still key learnings, but we have taken, as we do, the positives out of it and seeing how we can introduce better efficiencies within doing our business and working with our clients as well. So the purpose of this episode is to answer some of the questions that are asked of us from our landlords. The top one for this time round. We will be bringing to you more of these episodes on a regular basis. So if there's any questions that you would like us to answer live, we're happy to answer them for you as well. So just to touch on, as you know, we provide property management, sales and finance. In terms of the hot topic of discussion, particularly in rented properties from a landlord, mainly is if my tenant is late on their payments and has been affected by COVID, what are the process and what is happening with them in that regard, what their options are, and mainly, can a tenant be evicted if they are late on their payments or have arrears? So a quick answer for that is that if the tenant is not affected, their employment is not affected by COVID-19, they have no way to prove that to you, the normal termination still applies. Yes, there is a conversation, there is the 60 days period that the government has put in place to have a conversation with your tenant and landlord to talk about the options there. But at the end of the day, if they are not providing you with proof that they have been impacted by COVID-19, their employment haven't had a reduction of 25% net after taxes and benefits, that you'll be able to, you can work out an arrangement there. If it's not affected by COVID at all, you can still go out and the normal process of termination.
Yeah, because the lease agreement is still a full, it's a full legal document, full legal contract, which the tenant has to honour.
Absolutely, and for peace of mind for the landlords, there is because it is a contract of for the particular price point that you have negotiated on a rent, even if they are paying less than what the weekly amount is, that the balance of it does end up being in arrears and something that can be claimed afterwards as well, prepaid on a repayment plan afterwards. So that's the property management. In terms of, hello to everyone coming on, there's lots of viewers on Instagram. In terms of
finance, there's been a number of changes as well. As you know, the banks have brought in the 6 month mortgage freeze on mortgage repayments. So what we are advising clients is, yes, you can freeze your mortgage repayments if you're impacted with the COVID-19. But basically, if you can avoid freezing it, you should, because at the end of the day, the interest is getting capitalized and you'll be have to pay the interest after the 6 month period.
So it's basically interest on interest, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's because it's calculated daily and it's compounded. So if you can avoid it, do. But obviously, if there's you can't, then obviously we can freeze the mortgage repayments for 3
And one
months.
of the things that we are doing with our clients is refinancing their mortgage at a lower rate to be able to then freeze that on a lower.
Definitely. So a number of the major banks or second tier lenders out there have smashing rates on the market at the moment. So we're advising all our clients, check what your current interest rate you are paying. Normally what we do is we check with our current bank if we can reduce the current rate, what they're currently paying, or if not, then we can look at other lenders and where they'll get a better interest rate on the current home loan. And also a number of the major banks, they're offering the cashback campaign. So if we do refinance, the customer won't be out of pocket as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's what we're seeing, a lot of refinancing, customers looking at the interest rate, because obviously in today's market, every dollar is counting.
Yep. So in a nutshell, if you can avoid freezing your repayments, it works out to be in your favor.
Better, because at the end of the day, you have to still pay it back. They could probably increase your loan term as well from 30 years to another 6 months, or capitalize the interest, and your monthly repayment will be higher as well. So yeah, if it is avoidable, definitely avoid it, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the commonly asked questions by our tenants is that, do I still have to pay rent? As odd as it sounds, there are some tenants that are sort of assuming that their obligation to pay rent no longer applies because everyone is in a shutdown and it is impacting households. So the message to tenants is that yes, you still do need to pay your rent on time. Yes, you can have a discussion with your landlord to negotiate the price for the short period, for the short term, so that it is more manageable for you to pay on a weekly basis while we are all going through this global pandemic. But do bear in mind, after that particular arrears will still have to be paid. Correct. So if you can avoid that is something that we're recommending also. In terms of buyers, the main question that we're being asked is that, should I buy now? Is this the bottom of the market? What do you have to say about that?
See, at the end of the day, it's very hard to predict the bottom of the market. When we look at the bottom of the market, the market has basically already bottomed out. So no one has ever picked it. If we look in a couple of months' time and say the market was at the bottom, you've already missed the bottom of the market. If you're a serious buyer looking to buy, basically there's less competition out there at the moment. There are serious sellers out there as well. So I'll say to the buyers, why do you want to buy in a market when there's 20, 30, 40 parties coming through an open home? Why don't you want to buy when there's less competition? So which I think will work in a buyer's or seller's favor.
Exactly. So if you do have a finance approval, and your employment's not impacted by COVID-19, or you're a cash buyer, you're able to buy, do make that decision to buy now while there is less competition, which means better price for you, as opposed to waiting for the market to turn, which it will. We had a great
great result this week. So transactions are still happening. We had a property in Bella Vista Waters, which we went unconditional yesterday, 66W, which was a great result for the vendor and the buyer. So big transactions are still happening. It all comes down to the property and if the buyer.
And one of the other things that we've noticed, and we did a post about this earlier as well, people have more time to view property. So the hits on realestate.com.au, domain.com.au are increasing now because people have more time. They are spending more time at home. And I mean, we were just talking about this last week, that we need to upgrade, or we need to extend our home to meet our growing needs. So when people are staying more at home, they are realizing that the property is that they're living in does not really suit their needs. So they are going to be looking at buying anyway. So if you're looking at selling, if we have your property on our books as a pocket listing, so to speak, we can promote it to those buyers that are coming and contacting us about, well, what else is coming up that would be suitable for them. So definitely consider that. In terms of sellers, one of the common questions we've had asked for those that are looking at buying an investment property is, will our property be able to be rented if we buy a investment property now?
And what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, what we had the leasing properties, we've all rented them out in the first one or two open homes. So transactions are still happening, properties are still getting leased out, properties are still selling, probably not at the fastest rate, but transactions are still happening. So
it is, and again, talking about efficiencies, yes, we know that we don't have, no longer allowed to do open homes, but those private inspections with qualified buyers is converting. The conversion rate is a lot higher.
The conversion rate is high, and the buyers that are coming to the open homes, they're serious, they're genuine, they're finance approved, they're ready to go. So it's better to have less qualified buyers than have 20, 30 parties, which half of my tire kickers.
Yeah. So basically, to answer the question, will my property be able to be leased out if I was to buy investment property? The short answer is yes. And the other thing that we've also found is that some people that are delaying their purchase because, say, for example, they've sold their settlement's coming up, they are for 6 months wanting to go on a lease to test the market, test the areas that they want to go in next. So there is those kind of movers in the in the market that are looking for renting. So renting has not been affected as much.
Yeah, we haven't seen that
in
much
terms
in
of and the other thing that we are also saying is that yes, fair enough, the pricing or the rent achieved per week may not be driving that extra $20, $30, $50 at times, but you are still better off having a lower rent for a shorter period of time to be able to have your property leased out as opposed to having it empty as well. So reduction in prices in the short period to have the property rented out is also working in everyone's favor.
And also, if you're buying and selling in the same market, everything is relative. So, and especially if you're upgrading, sometimes if you're buying a more expensive property and you're upgrading, sometimes you get a bigger discount if you're coming from an inferior property. So which can work in your favor as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There you go.
So it's all happening. It's not all doom and gloom out there. Transactions are still happening. And loans are still being written.
That's it. I think that's been the main thing. So, I mean, just to sort of recap of, as you haven't seen us live in the last couple of weeks, what have we been up to is talking to our landlords, talking to our tenants, being the pulse of the market to see what is impacting them, how can we help them, what is some of the things that are their concerns, and how we can work together in this difficult time to come out the other end. And from your point of view, it's been all
we've
refinancing and mortgages.
Been under the pump with finance. People have got more time on their hands, and even to get their documents together and everything, I think it's more easier for them as well.
That's right. So previously, where it would take a couple of months to get all the different documentations. I've got a question. How do I determine a value for my property to sell? So if the question is about what is your property's value in today's market, we're happy to have a conversation with you about that. If you send us your property address, you can SMS it to my mobile number, and I can send you an RP data report on it currently. But in terms of if the question is more in relation to what is the right price for my property to sell, the price is determined by what the market is willing to pay for a property. So once we have a look at it, once we promote it to our database, bring them through, and we've got the qualified buyers coming through, that is basically what is setting the price.
Exactly. As long as we market the property right, we position it right, the market should look at after itself.
Yeah. So if I didn't answer that question correctly, do let me know. I'm happy to answer that offline as well. Do get in touch. And again, if there's any other concerns, even if you are currently not a landlord that we manage or property that we manage, and you just have a question in general about tenancies or from a sale point of view or from finance point of view, we're here to help. We're here to answer your questions. If we don't know them, we have resources to be able to find out those answers for you. But I guess at the end of the day, we're all going to come out of it learning a lot of new skills and new ideas. So
it's a true test of character at the moment. So we just got to all hang in there and fight, and together we'll win this battle.
Yeah. Here we go. We've got a few other questions coming in. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. So we will be doing this more on a regular basis and inviting some guest speakers also. The next two guest speakers that we've got lined up are Manny Manjot from our local accountant, as well as, so he'll be talking more about the accountancy side of things, what the government's initiatives or incentives are for businesses or for individuals, how they can help provide you the maximum output at this stage. And we've also got Realty Protect. So one of the companies that we work with for landlord insurance, we will be getting them to come out and answer some of the questions that our landlords are having if they already have landlord insurance. What are their possibilities for putting in a claim for loss of rent, and what does that policy cover and whatnot? Now, talking about landlord insurance, an important one, there are, I think there's only one company at the moment that is offering landlord insurance, but they are not providing rent defaults or tenancy theft, or theft by tenant. So all other companies that we are aware of at this stage have an embargo due to COVID-19. So, for those of you that are looking at getting a new policy, at this stage, it is one provider, and we're happy to connect you to them if that is something that you're interested in. So do get in touch with us for that, we can provide you.
So if you have any questions, sales, leasing, finance, do get in touch. I'm more than happy to help anytime.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Time.
See ya.
Thank you.